My name is Ann Hamlin, and I do website services for the Lean Wisconsin Technology Partnership between WVLS, IFLS, and Northern Water. So we could have people from 3 systems here today. For IFLS libraries, you are being migrated from your traditional website, your traditional email service to the Microsoft Office Suite or Microsoft 365. So if you go back in your emails, you'll find that I sent out directions with Brad and Chris's help from IFLS on how to switch to the Microsoft 365 calendar. Tockify is another option to switch to, and it has a free version that I really enjoy and also a paid version, and we're going to walk through both of those today. But before we do that, we are going to take a look at a Google Calendar option, because Google Calendar, if you have a generic library email such as librarian at gmail.com or librarian at gmail.com, you can still use Google services. So you could use a Google Calendar for your library and have all your staff have access to a Google Calendar. Now, why am I showing you the Google Calendar if we're talking about Tockify today? Well, it's another free option. So there's these 2 free options, and they have their uses, right? If you're not ready to leave the Google world and you've just transferred to Microsoft 365, you can create a generic Gmail for your library and continue to use Google. And it has some positives and some negatives. So I wanted to show you this. If you have the agenda and resources open today, you can click on the example of a Google Calendar to see the WVLS website calendar is a Google Calendar. This is an embedded Google Calendar, and to update an embedded Google Calendar, you simply have to edit or add events in your Google Calendar and it will populate here. Beneath it, I have an example of the same calendar as an agenda view. And I pulled it from here. So the light blue is what is being pulled onto the public Gmail embedded calendar. And that's really handy for WVLS because we are a library-facing company or organization, right? We are a library-facing organization. We don't need to be sexy. We're not trying to entice the public to attend events and things. You guys are our audience, and you guys need information, right? You don't necessarily need eye candy because you know what you're looking for. Sometimes eye candy is nice, and we'll talk about that later. But the Google Calendar does have a function because it is functional, it works, and it has a lower learning curve, right? So before we go to Tockify, and I'm doing this for a reason, I want you to grab your smartphone or your tablet, and I want you to look at the WVLS website and find the calendar. So go to wvls.org on your phone, open up the menu and go all the way down to the bottom to find calendar. And I encourage you to really do this because there is a reason I'm asking you to do this. So find the menu at the top. It has 3 lines. Go all the way down to the menu and find the term calendar. I want you to take a look at what a Google Calendar looks like on your phone. So there's the monthly view again, and then if you scroll beneath it, there's the agenda view. So now I want you guys, if you are able or willing, to turn on your microphone and talk to me about what you're seeing with the Google Calendar in the monthly view and the agenda view. You can type it in if you want. Who's there? I hear somebody.
Krista's here.
Hi, Krista.
Hi.
What do you notice?
I'm seeing, so I'm on the agenda view at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing like website workshop, what we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
Indigenous Voices is on Tuesday, May 24th.
Mm-hmm.
The meetup is at the library next week on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. So I want to
At my
ask you this,
library.
Krista. Why
Yeah.
was your eye drawn to the agenda view over the monthly view?
Well, I was just scrolling down to see the difference, but actually I
Okay.
can see,
You can see more.
I can see more. Yeah.
Yeah. You can see more, right?
Yeah.
You can see the time easy. You can see more than just the time, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You can see more days all at a glance. You can look ahead faster.
You can see June and May.
Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing I want to talk about with calendars. Yeah, you can change it however you like. You can have a print preview. You can have the month. You can have the agenda. But that's all important because a person wants to choose how they can see things. But first and foremost, they need to see the information right away. Because if they're confused or they can't see what they're looking for, they're moving away. Okay? And so if I were to pick between the monthly view and the agenda view for my website, I would pick the monthly view for the desktop and the agenda view for my phone. Does that make sense? Now let's talk about if you're a library and you're trying to use this to promote things, what are some of the difficulties with this option? I would say the display isn't sexy. I would say that I'm not seeing any pictures. I would say that it looks boring and very plain. And I would almost say that we could class it up a little bit. You know, it looks like everybody gets to have it this way. So it looks a little not exciting. So, my friends, let's enter the domain of Tockify. The first place I'm going to give a tour is just clicking into the Tockify website. The beautiful thing about Tockify is they use the principle of don't make me think too hard, right? So they have a preview of their services right on their homepage. So I want you guys to click onto Tockify.com from the resources on the agenda and kind of just play around with this preview. So what are you noticing with the example here? Very eye-catching. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it eye-catching?
Pictures.
Mm-hmm. It feels public-facing, doesn't it? It doesn't say calendar, blah, blah, blah. It says events from May 1st. Ooh, events. That sounds very public-facing and very friendly, right? It's not services. It's not. I can see different colors being used. I see the dates are very bold and prominent. I can choose between agenda and monthly. Ooh, this monthly one doesn't have any pictures. It just has different colors. I'm noticing categories or tags. Oh, it looks like green stands for nature or community. Okay. So the first thing I want to let you know is the free version only gives you the agenda view. So I'm going to take a look at this agenda view. If I click into an event, this is what an event looks like. I can put links in here. Look at how much information I can put in here. Okay. I can put an image, I can bold stuff. Take a look here. I can send it to my Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I can save it to my own calendar. I can copy the event link and share it to Facebook if I don't want to use this view. I can copy this and text it to someone or send it to someone in a text. I can email the event details to someone. So that's what Tockify looks like. What are you feeling about Tockify right now? The first time I saw Tockify, I thought, wow, that's too fancy for me.
I love how it looks.
Yes.
Also, it gives me a sense of the program just by the pictures being there.
Mm-hmm. You can use real pictures. You can use cartoons. I can't imagine one person made all these, so you can use them from all kinds of places. So I really wanted to point out a few things here even with the agenda view. You're right, Krista. A picture says 1,000 words, right? And then on the other side of that, you can pack as many words as you want into this. It's wonderful because you can have a very simple image that speaks a lot to what it is and then provide all the necessary information you have on the inside, like rain date XYZ, cancel, oh, this event was canceled. I can put it right there, and then you could say reschedule, to be rescheduled, or right in here, right? I think that this could work really well for libraries who want to save time, depending on how it looks on Facebook. Maybe this is what you do. You go to Tockify, put it in there, and then share it to your Facebook, and it's already on your website, right? So you've gone to one place, you entered an event, so it's on your website, then you pressed share to Facebook, and now it's on your Facebook. So this could be a big time saver.
Question. So you have Tockify, it's part of your website. Do you have to go into how you change your website in order to add things to Tockify?
I gotta say, Krista, I think that you are my hype woman, because that was my very next point. Once you connect it, you never edit in your website for your calendar.
Oh, I love that so much. That was one of the things I was worried about.
Because websites can be intimidating. We always talk about that. But yeah, once you touch your Tockify account to your website account, you only ever have to have your Tockify open to make edits. And it will automatically edit on your website.
That's also helpful for other staff using it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I'm going to reiterate again. If you have a generic email and you open up an account for Tockify, you have a generic Gmail, you open up your Tockify, your whole staff could have that email and have it open on their desk, right? Your adult services, your youth services, maybe that's the same person. Maybe your director wants to put in meetings for the meeting rooms. Like the Kiwanis are having lunch here on this week, this day. You can put all of that from different workstations into one place. Now, before we talk about paid versus free versions or anything like that, I want to take about 5 minutes to poke around on these current websites that are actually your peer websites that are actually using the service. I'm going to just pop a few open, and I hope you guys go and take a look at some of these too. So here's Demer Library, and I'll increase my screen size. So they have a blog slider on the left where it's showing blog posts. And then they have, this is a little Tockify insert that previews 3 events. There's no pictures here. I'm going to talk through a few things that I'm seeing on the Three Lakes website. You guys can poke around other websites if you like, but I'm just going to talk through some of the things I'm seeing. Three Lakes has the free version. So they have the agenda view only. They have a very conservative image, but a branded image. So every time I want to see where the story hours are, I can look for this image. They have a second story hour that's for Sugar Camp. It's a second location. So when I'm looking along here, if I'm a story hour parent, I know exactly which icon I'm looking. So it's a visual cue. Sugar Camp, genealogist. Now I'm seeing genealogist pop up a few times. I'm going to go look and see what that is. So Three Lakes genealogy offering services. Ask your genealogist from volunteers. Tabletop tech time. So they're using images as consistent images to also help people navigate the calendar. Their Dungeons and Dragons. It looks like they're using their social media image as their Tockify image. That's awesome. Book club, they're using the book cover. They're putting programs in here and they're using images from the people that are doing the program as their image. They have their board meetings in here.
And can I ask, I noticed they have their board meetings in here. Is it possible to attach to the board meeting calendar the PDF of the agenda?
Let's pop one open, but I'm going to tell you yes.
I didn't see it on there. It's something I did in the Google Calendar, and my trustees liked that they could always go to the calendar and get a copy of the agenda wherever they were. And the public can too.
Yes, we can do that. And I don't want to distract us here, but I'm going to make a note so that I can show you later on. Okay?
Okay.
Add PDF.
Thank you for answering my question.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So does anybody have any observations they want to talk about or any cool things they want us to point our attention to on a different site other than the Demer library? I'm opening up Cumberland. Oh, it looks like Cumberland went for the paid version. That's okay too.
Can you make your screen bigger, Anne? Thank you.
I'm going to the Tomahawk website. How's that? So Tinker Tuesday has its own brand, and it looks like they're using their social media images as their image here on the left. Fall ride, fall ride. Ooh, they have library closures in here. Look at that. You can work ahead and put all of your library's closures in there. And the images are generic, so you can use them every single year. I'm going to pop down here. What do I need to use Tockify? You're going to need your general email account. So my example here is librarian@sunshinelibrary.org. But you'll want this. You could even use your non-Gmail associated general library email. But some libraries kind of take on two things by creating a generic Gmail account because then they can use all of the Google services and put all of their generic library sign-ins into one email. So let's say a staff member leaves and they have access to all of these services using the generic library email. What you can do is simply change the password to the generic library email and update all existing employees what the new password is. And then you don't have to worry about having personal emails attached to general library services. Okay. So what do I need to use Tockify? You need that email. Then, as you probably already have, a list of your regular programs, any special events coming up or annual events, library closures like you saw Memorial Day on there, the day after Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving Day, other closures like training days, public meetings. So you saw library board meetings on there. You saw genealogy meetings. Maybe you have the Kiwanis meet there every week. Maybe you have a knitters group that uses the meeting room, but you're also promoting that you want more people to come to your knitting group, right? So that's an event. A free Canva account or other design software like Publisher. I use Canva, but I also use another design program. I'm going to use Canva today as an example, but you can use whatever you like. Canva is really handy, and I've made some templates here to have some fun. And why is that? Well, you need to create an image to go along with an event. One thing that I did not remember to look up before our time together today was if Tockify provided free images. So we can take a look at that question too. So I have some templates that can help us get started, but also there's this second piece to this puzzle. All of these templates are sized for Instagram because Instagram is a square, right? Instagram posts are a square. And the Tockify calendar is a circle. And a circle is the inside of a perfect square, right? So again, we want to minimize our work levels. So if you create an Instagram design and you share it to Instagram from your Canva, then you can take off all the dates and details and things or leave whatever you want on there and reuse it on Tockify. Then in Canva, you can resize for Facebook. So we're trying to reduce workload. I want us to think of, I keep trying to bring in simplify, simplify, simplify. So when I was in school, it always talks about, they say keep it simple and then name calling. So I just call it KISS without the last S. So keep it simple. We want it to be it's a thumbnail, and thumbnails are meant to be clear and concise, right? Whereas social media, you can have more stuff on it. So I have a couple questions in the chat here about payments and things, but the last question was, so Cumberland uses the paid version, but they don't use photos. So Cumberland chose to put as much of the description as possible on here, and they can choose to have it display as agenda, pin board, or monthly. And for right now, they wanted it to display the monthly view, but when you hover over an event, it gives you that same image. So when I can click into it, it'll still give you that image. And on the home page, that image is displayed. So they still are making use of that thumbnail area. But they really enjoy having the monthly display as an option. So I'm going to make an event from scratch. I'm going to make a board meeting event, and I'm going to, Leanne, add a PDF file of minutes into a Tockify event, and I'm going to show it to you on my free version. So here's Anne's free version. I have some example places in here, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see that a little bit more clearly. The interface is very simple. On the Tockify homepage, it has the preview calendar, which I always think is wonderful because it gives me ideas all the time. And I click Go to my calendar editor. In here, I can say, oh, what would it look like as a pin board, and click on that. What would it look like as a monthly view? And here you can see if there's multiple events on the same day, it abbreviates them, but when I hover over it, it still gives me that nice preview with the image. I'm going to go back to Pinboard. On Pinboard, this is nice because in the public view, you do not have these blue edit event buttons, but on the editing side, of course, you do. On the agenda view, I have a nice big title, date and time, and a nice description if I put one in there. It looks like I was being snarky and not putting a description in there. Okay. Big green button on the left-hand side, click Create an Event. And you'll notice in my free version, it's telling me what I have access to. Subscription only, subscription only, subscription only. But I want to show you these things. There's RSVP, promotion button, attachment, priority, status. The first thing I'm going to do is say I'm going to post the June library. I'm just going to put in library, oh boy, library board meeting. And I'm going to say that that is going to be in a Wednesday in June at 6 p.m. And it'll go until 7. 6 until 7 on the same day. Notice if I had a multi-day event, I could do that from 6:29 to 6:30 or 6:31, 6:30, June 30th, not June 31st. And now below, I can add a wonderful description. So the library board meets monthly on the third Wednesday at 6 p.m. The public is most welcome to these meetings. You can put the event location. Maybe you want to have your library board meeting in the library garden. So I'm going to put library garden because it's not too hot yet. You can say that it's an online event or have street address for a physical, or you can say, you know what, we're going to do story time and you can come to story time, but you can also attend online. You can have that in here. Now, oops. So Leanne, you'll notice that there is a link button. I could say, please find all agendas and meeting materials on the library board webpage here. And I will click this and have a link. And here are all the WVLS agendas and meeting materials. And so I will put it here. And I can say if I want it to open in a new tab or a current tab, I'm going to say open in the current tab. So there it goes. There's my link in here. I can, now up at the top here on the right-hand side, I want to add an image. Here's all the images I've used before. I can also choose from the image library. There's my answer. It slipped my mind. So there are free images I can use here. So I'm just going to type in meeting. Oh, we didn't get any images. So I'm going to type in library and see. Nope. Group. Oh boy. Maybe I'm just going to have to browse to see what kind of images I could use. So these are some pretty generic images for us to use. It looks like there's a very limited number. I'm going to use my own image. And I'm going to say I'm going to use this Clear Lake Public Library logo because I'm going to pretend I'm at Clear Lake, so I could just use the Clear Lake Public Library logo for every library board meeting that I'm going to have and click Save Changes. Well, now I'm still on the event, right? But up at the top, I can click back to the agenda, scroll down, and here's my library board meeting for June with a disclaimer that it meets the third Wednesday at 6 p.m. And let's pretend I'm clicking into the event. And now I can click on the link to go get the agenda and meeting materials. I could share this on my Facebook, so I'll do that. Put it on my own Facebook here, testing for a workshop. I'll delete this later, but I'm going to say post to Facebook. So this is what it looks like on Facebook. This is the event. Back to the agenda. In a Pinboard view, this is what our library board meeting looks like. In a monthly view, I'm going to go down to June. I'm going to go over to June. Here's our library board meeting. When I hover over it, this is what I get. Okay. So in the free version, again, we get the agenda view. Any questions about that so far? I'm going to open up that same event, Leanne. And at the top, you'll see that there is a way to put agenda right attached to the event, but that's for the subscription only. But adding a link and having your meeting agenda on your web page is a workaround there. And it's a great way if you are going to have multiple library board meetings, if you're going to have multiple book clubs, if you're going to have multiple story times, to put that information on your website anyways on a different page, like a storytime page or a library board page. But then in your Tockify, you can copy this June library board meeting to make the July library board meeting, and you won't have to change the description. Let me show you that. On the left-hand side, I can choose to copy the June library board meeting. And Tockify does this wonderful thing about giving us an orange notice on the left-hand side that says this is an unsaved copy. So instead of having it listed as June, I'm going to change it to July. And it does all the work for me. I don't have to change a single thing in here. I can save my changes. I'll go back to my agenda. And now I will have 2 library board meeting events. How are you guys feeling about that?
Hi, Ann. This is Pam. I love that. I mean, I've been using that, but I didn't know you could link the agenda to that. That is so exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So then if a library board member just goes to the calendar and sees that, they still have, I mean, that's multiple access points. We talk about that with the catalog. It's also true with the website, right? You want people to find the information and you don't care how they get there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that. Yeah. Something you just schedule it once and then you can just forward it on.
Yep. Copy, copy, copy.
And I've got some of my holidays in, not all the way to the end of the year, but I did get ahead and put some of those on. So those are already out in the calendar. So yes, love Tockify. If you're on the fence, $80 is a good deal.
That's what Pam says.
And I just renewed for a second year, so.
All right. Okay, so what I want you guys to do before we get started with some details between free version and for cost version is I want you guys to, I'm going to open up some of these templates that I have in here. I'm going to open up the robotics program template. And here I am in Canva, right? So, you know, rockin' robotics. This is, I just put something together, but maybe you have a local Girl Scout troop that meets in your library. You could ask them for their logo and put it in here and mark it as the Girl Scout troop template, right? Or the Girl Scout troop file, and add that into your Tockify and say, Girl Scouts are meeting here every month or every Tuesday or however they go. It just looks nice and welcoming and professional, and it shows up in your calendar, so people, you know, even Girl Scouts might come to rely on your calendar, right? Same thing goes for book clubs. Here's a book club template. I just put books around it. So there is a positive side to having one generic thumbnail and then using the features of Tockify to add other material. So I'm going to show you how to add a book club event. So I'm going to write book club. I'm going to call it the Around Town Book Club, because I could say book club meets at Perkins this month. The book talks a ton about lemon meringue. How do you spell meringue? Merengue. Is that right? So hopefully we will make it in time for pie. So yeah, that was all fun and nice, and we have the date in here, right? The date, we're going to pick the date for, I like to expand my calendar as many times as I can. So I'm going to say book club meets at 7 on July 18th or August 18th. But okay, so we mentioned we're meeting at Perkins, and the book talks a lot about lemon meringue, and I probably have more details in there. But you can also throw the book cover in here. So I just added, let me show you what I clicked. I chose this icon, and when you hover over an icon, it will tell you what it is if you stay there for a minute. So add images. I'm going to upload an image from my computer, choose local file, and maybe I have a book cover in here somewhere. Oh, here's a generic book cover that I made for something else. And you'll notice that our free version only has a square image, but I'm using a rectangle. So let's see how that looks. That's not bad. I'm still going to use this image. When you're on the inside of an event, you can use whatever kind of image you want. You'll notice that it's still a rectangle image, even though the thumbnail is going to be a square. So here's the title of our book, and the book cover for our book. You can also say, here is Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling, right? And link to your actual stinking catalog. Isn't that great? So I'm going to go to Rib Lake because I need to use the catalog from there. So Harry Potter. I didn't spell it right, but you guys know what I mean. I want Harry Potter. And then I can grab this link and hyperlink it to the book club title so that anybody who wants to request the book club title can click here right in the event, grab the book, and then meet you at book club. Now I'm going to click Save Changes. Back to the agenda. And here's my Around Town Book Club, August 18th. Book club meets at Perkins this month. And then when I click into the event, when I click into the event, there's my title. It's going to take me right to the catalog so I can request my Harry Potter for the book club. How you feel about that? That's pretty cool. Or at least, okay, so let's say you have a robotics club or a makerspace club, right? So you have your own makerspace image and you pop it open and then you say, this week we're going to be playing with Ozobots, or this week we're going to be playing with snap circuits, or this week we're going to be playing with water, blah, 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 hydrology, or this week we're going to be playing with baking, because baking is science. All kinds of awesome things, right? And then you can, so there's all kinds of things, and this is the free version. I'm not even using the paid version, folks. So this is awesome. So before we even talk about paid versus free, there's a mega tip from Tracy Sorensen at Menominee. And this goes for both Canva and Tockify. Tracy used the contact form to ask for a discount for the library, and they gave it to her. So yes, if you pay for an annual subscription for the whole year at $80, that's a discount from paying monthly. I think monthly is like $10 or something like that. We can look at it together. But then Tracy took the initiative to just shoot them a simple email saying, hey, this is Tracy from the Menominee Public Library. Here's our website. We're a nonprofit here and we work on a tight budget. Could we get a discount? And they gave it to her. And the same goes for Canva. There is a paid for version of Canva, which I wholeheartedly, and you can get nonprofit accounts, but it takes a little bit more work. Sometimes they deny you, so you have to keep going. Sometimes Canva gives it to your organization on the first try. You don't know with Canva. An $80 service was willing to work with the library to give a cheaper cost, which is great. I did look up if they had a nonprofit rate, and they said that for Tockify, and they said that they currently do not have a charity or nonprofit rate because nonprofits operate at so many different levels, but they obviously are offering discounted rates if you ask for them. And I can provide a link to nonprofit application for Canva. Otherwise, you can ask me more questions offline. And from the Tockify homepage, you can go over to plans. Now, here's where you're going to find the cost. They have a 14-day free trial when you sign up for a free account. You're going to automatically get the paid for account because they want you to go to the paid for account, right? But you don't have to. But when you embed it into your website, they'll give you the paid for visual for 14 days. After the 14 days, the visual on your website will revert to the three event preview like the Three Lakes Public Library or the Demer Memorial Library has. This is what the free version will look like after the 14-day trial. On this plan page, you can choose between monthly plans and annual plans. So it's either $8 a month for 12 months, right? 8 times 12, or if you do an annual plan, it's just $80. So you get 2 months for free, right? And they have 4 plans, but I made it more simple for us. So I compared the free version to the paid version with my own special notes because I have some thoughts on this. So it says under the paid version on their website, it says it's the best option for small organizations. And I agree, but also the free version works. And here are the differences. Taken directly from their website, it's an attractive theme, it's unlimited, it's powerful, it's very easy to use. They have some images that are free, but you can add your own images. Great mobile experience. I forgot to have us look up a website on our mobile phone. Let's do that right now. If we can do that together, let's do that right now. I'm sorry about that. So 3 Lakes Memorial Library. And now I'm going to go to their website. And I'm on my smartphone looking up the Denver Memorial Library in 3 Lakes. And if I scroll down, they have a spot where you could, for programs and events, you can just simply click to view calendar. And it has the agenda view for us. I can click it into the event, and there's this really nice description. Join us in the Maple Room for stories, songs, and learning. And that's the free version. So I want to take a moment to compare the free. We started our whole session today with taking a look at the Google embedded calendar on our phones, right? And we look at the Tockify version, free version on our phone. Can you tell us what your first thoughts are looking at the Tockify calendar on your phone? Maybe you guys want to compare on your own time, but I just wanted to show you that, you know, even the free version on your phone is powerful and wonderful and beautiful and has that imagery that you want when you're promoting events to the public. You know, the Google Calendar will work, and it does work, and it syncs to your Google Calendar, but you can have more people adding to a Tockify calendar, and it's going to look visually stunning too, even if you use the images that they provide. There was one bullet point that I had a question about for their free version. It says works anywhere, and I said, what? I don't know what they were trying to get at with works anywhere. If I was in the mountains or if I was in the bottom of the ocean, I don't quite understand what they were getting at. But then I added my own bullet point because we found that we could copy an event to duplicate it, right? We didn't have to create the same event 85 times for 85 story times. We could copy it, change the date, add the book, and move on, right? So I added that super awesome feature for the free version, the ability to copy events as a sneaky bonus. Over on the paid side, all of the free features are included in the paid side, right? But then you can choose between the Pinboard monthly and mini calendar for display in small spaces on your website. You can also have the mini calendar on your phone with the 3 event preview on the bottom, but then have the calendar above so they can say, I'm going to be in town on July 19th. What's happening at the library? They can tap on the date. You'll notice that when we use our Tockify, come here. When we use Tockify, and I just went to my calendar here, I didn't get the chance to edit many of these things in here, but you can change lots of stuff. When I go to the customization, it says, you know what, custom themes are wonderful, but they're not available with your free version. And they give you the chance to go look at subscription options, but I'm not going to because I know on the right-hand side, you can customize anything you want. If you say, I don't want them to have access to the monthly view, I can turn it off and it'll go away. If you say, I only want them to have the Pinboard view, I'll turn all these other ones off and that they will go away. On here, I can say, I want the default calendar layout to when it's narrowed, like on a tablet, to go to the mini, or you could say I want it to go to the agenda view, or I want the same layout for all widths. So whether I'm on a computer, a tablet, a phone, I want it to be the agenda view. You don't have to do that. Randomize the order of events with same date and time. That might be cool if you're a larger library and you have 2 story times, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, but you also have a book club and you also have tech time or whatever. You might want to randomize that so people visiting your website see a different order in case they don't keep reading, right? Talking about accessibility, use the calendar's default language or use the visitor's language. You don't have to show the time zone. You can if you want. You can have buttons at the very bottom that says show load more events. You can have an indicator that says no more events, or you could leave it off. Show a subscribe link on the calendar, Barb. I believe you can only subscribe to a Tockify calendar as a visitor if the library is using a paid for version. We can test this by going to the Three Lakes Tockify calendar, and they don't have a subscribe button, but I don't know that for sure because they have the free version and I didn't set it up for them. Maybe they could click a button, but I believe that the subscribe link on a calendar as shown on the Deer Park, okay, public library website. There's a subscribe button right here, but if I go to the fold calendar, there's also a subscribe option here. Barb, nice work. I believe subscribe is only available for paid versions.
Yeah. And I'm just going to pop in and say, no pictures yet. We're still learning. We just
Don't worry.
set this up.
Yep.
So if people
Yep.
are wondering why we don't
Last
have any
week.
pictures, we're new yet.
Yep. But you got the meat on there, and that's the important part, right? And it still looks great even without pictures. In the themes area, you can switch between different themes depending on your fancy. I would say stay away from curvy text at all or fonts at all time. You can do a custom theme. Styles, you can make your own style. Instead of having a orangish link, I could have it be a darker green. Instead of the date font being whatever this is, I could have it be whatever that is. Background color, this is going to be awful, but I wanted to show you a drastic way to do it. Okay, it's not doing it for me. Oh, there we go. Look at this. Yuck. Right? But you can choose a lot of things. You can change all kinds of stuff. You can have a canceled color. You can have a moved online color, rescheduled color, all these different things. The basics. You can change the looks of the pin board, the agenda view, the monthly view. You could say for the calendar, I only want people to see the next 4 weeks. All kinds of stuff. So you can change the outline of the calendar. So the sky's the limit when it comes to theme changes, excuse me. Allergies, right? The other thing you can do with the paid for version is add categories. Now this is handy if you have a meeting calendar and a program calendar and you want them separate, right? You can only have one calendar on the free version. one calendar on the free version. On the paid for version, you can have multiple calendars. So let's say you have a meeting rooms page where you can say, you have the chance to book a meeting room, and you want to have a calendar on that page that says the meeting room is free or is booked up for these dates at these times. You could have a meeting calendar, and then you can have a programs calendar. And you can have them on top of each other. You can have them display at the same time, as you'll notice here, and you can color code them. So greens could be board meetings or library meetings. You could have library related meetings and library programs or whatever. And maybe purple is public meetings that are open to the public, but they're from the Kiwanis. Or blue is programming and green is meetings. You can, and I want to show you the IFLIS calendar. IFLIS library system uses the paid for version of Tockify for their system calendar. And I want to talk to the importance about branding, and then I'm going to open it up to everyone for the last remaining 20 minutes here. The IFLIS library system uses branded imagery to indicate meetings, and they show you that they're a meeting by having a big bold bar, and then they fill in that big bold bar for what that meeting is. They use consistent branding, so I know if there's ever a big bold bar that it's a meeting of some time. If there's a clock here, there's a deadline for something. I see there. I'm going to click load more events, more meetings, right? Board of Trustees. But if there's a different image, look at, here we are. This is a youth services check-in, but there's another check-in. So they're using this imagery to have eye-catching things, library-facing, right? So it's, minions. You guys are all connecting together. There's millions of minions. There's millions of library directors that need to connect. Or there's youth services people that need to connect, so they're using that imagery. That's fun. I can look at older events. We can get more examples. So here's the launch of the Explore More Passport program. Here's a workshop or a webinar, bringing the library into your community. Spring webinar series. So that's how you can use branding for your calendar. And you can do that in the free version, right? So use the same image for book club and then add the book club title into the inside of the event. In the paid for version, you can have repeating events.
Mm-hmm.
So that's handy. And then so you can do repeating events for story time and then pop into each one and customize it for that story time. And that can speed things up too. Go ahead, Pam.
My question to you is, like, when we went into Tockify, and I love all the special days they have, like the International Ocean Day, and it has that lovely picture in the write-up. How can I steal that? I want to use that on my calendar. Some of those are so cool. So how can I do that? How can we do that?
I think they're teasing you. Yeah, so what she's talking about is here.
Just borrow, just copy that.
It looks like you can just right click over the image and save that image.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I learned so much today. I've had it for a year and I've hardly done stuff with it. So now I can start things like that. Thank you.
Yeah. And you're right. You can right click on it and save the image to your desktop and then pop that into your calendar. But the one that I rely on the most for free images is called Unsplash. And it's free images and pictures. And it's extensive. So I'm just going to type in library. And so I'm going to type in books. It's giving me all these different things that I can choose, right? And so results for book on Unsplash. Check these out. These are pretty awesome. So these are all free. And they're submitted by photographers that you could send money for if you wanted to, but you can use all these free images. So let's search for carousel. Yep, Pexels is great. So here's carousel, all these free ones here, right? That's pretty awesome. You know, maybe your story time is about a circus or whatever. But if you're already in Canva making pictures in Canva, you can go to photos, even with the free version. And what's a day coming up? For I'm just gonna type in tulip because I like tulips. And look at all these pictures. So these are all free pictures too. Or I can type in adventure. And there's and you can hover over them and look for free ones, but the ones that don't have a symbol on it are free, right? So there's all of these. So this could be for hiking club. And maybe you call it hiking Vikings. And then I'm going to change the color to white. I'm going to make this big. I thought I had a hiking picture, but that was a kayaking picture. Hiking club. And make it big. Put it in the center. Delete the robots. Oops. Hiking club. And if you want to, so then you would save this as your template. For hiking. Hiking. And you download it. Right? And you open your Tockify. Go to my calendar. Create an event. Hiking club. So now I got a free image. I put it into my Canva, or I grabbed the free image in Canva, and then I put it into my Tockify image library, and I'll never have to make it ever again. I want to use this one. So here's my hiking club template. We're going to be at the hiking the Ice Age Trail at the, I don't know, Westboro access point this month. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, guys. Save changes. Back to the agenda. And here it is, the hiking club. So yeah, you can go through the work of going to Unsplash or Pexels or wherever, but if you're already going to make imagery for social media on Canva, and Canva has free images, I would just use Canva for everything. But that's because...
When you grabbed the hiking club picture and it came to that screen that it talked about different sizes, which size are we supposed to pick?
So if you're putting the image directly into Tockify, it doesn't matter how huge the image is. But
Okay.
when I make a template for Tockify and send it to someone, I save it as, or I choose the social media Instagram one, because then they can put it on Instagram without any changes. So the Instagram sizing is 1080 by 1080. That's huge. So this is at 44%. If I put it at 100, if I put it at 100%, this is how big the image would be.
Okay.
But it looks good on Instagram at that size. And it's not being stored on your website. It's being stored on Instagram and Tockify, so it doesn't even matter how big it is.
I think, Ann, she's talking about in Tockify with the with the paid version, you can choose the different sizes, the different
Yeah.
ratios.
Thank you.
That's where she's asking, I think.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to edit this event, but so let's just pretend I'm in here. If I want to use this image, in the free version, it only gives us the square. Okay, let's see if it'll do it for me. Okay, this is what you're talking about.
That's the screen. There you go.
So in the paid for version, you can have different layouts or sizes for your thumbnail. See that these are more rectangular in different orientations. This is a skinny rectangle. I don't know if you can see that. But the free is always going to be a square version. So if I went over here, it'll show you what it will capture, and you can choose what you want it to capture for your paid display. So let's take a look at that. So on the more page, they use that skinnier layout here. When I click into it, when I click into it, they don't have that. So they chose to have a skinnier version for their branded ones. Sometimes they use the big square version depending on how the design looks. But that's just a style choice. That's probably not super duper helpful, but honestly, it's just a style choice for what size you choose. Excuse me. I like using squares because it makes everything more simple. And I have the free version, so I have to use a square. Guys, we have 5 minutes left, so I hope you guys have been playing with your own accounts and clicking around on the examples and looking at the resources. I am going to stop sharing my screen. So how do you feel about that today?
I have a question. How do we, or can we link it to our Microsoft calendars so that we're not trying to maintain multiple calendars?
Right now on the Tockify website, it only says it links up with Google. So that's the only way.
Ann has the link to those directions. And if you have questions, you can always, I'm always happy to help answer how to do it, walking through it.